Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Boynton coming to you from the continent of North America. Did you know North America is made up of several countries? And the biggest one, you probably didn't know, is Canada. And another important country in North America is the United States. Here we are in Michigan right there. And then there's Mexico. Those are three big countries. Oh, we can't forget Alaska. Did you know it touches Canada? All right, moving on. Vocabulary lesson 20. We're going to review three words. Unfortunate, which means unlucky. Fortunate, which means the opposite. It means lucky. And immense, which means very large or huge. I want you to think about, when has something unfortunate happened to you? Can you think of an unfortunate event in your life? Well, let me tell you about one that happened to Ruby. You may have heard. She got hit in the head with a golf club, and she had to go to the hospital and get stitches in her forehead. It was not fun, and it didn't feel very good. It was unfortunate that happened, but it was an accident. All right, here's another thing to think about. When has something fortunate happened to you, which is the opposite of unfortunate? Can you think of something fortunate? Let me tell you about something fortunate that happened to me. I was at the dance studio, and I opened a locker, and I was so fortunate because inside the locker I found a little Gus. How fortunate was I that a Gus was coming out at the locker to me? What better thing to find in a locker than a Gus? All right, next question. Would you feel fortunate if you lived in an immense house? Now, I don't live in an immense house. I used to live in a small house, and now I live in a medium-sized house. And you know what I found out when my house got bigger? There was more cleaning that had to be done. Luckily, I have Ruby and the mop monster. Gus is protecting himself from the mop monster with these flashlights, but she helps a little bit keep the medium-sized house clean. I can't imagine if I had an immense house. I don't think I could keep it clean. All right, we're going to play a game with those three vocabulary words called Tell Me a Story. To play Tell Me a Story, I'm going to tell the beginning of a story that includes one of the vocabulary words. And you're going to use your imagination and what you know about the word to make up an ending for the story. All right, to play, you're going to need to get out your sticky note. Put your name at the top of the sticky note and number 1, 2, 3 down the side. And leave a little space between your numbers because you're going to have to write the words that end the story. Pause the video until you have your sticky note ready. Okay, we're going to the number 1 story. Here it is. It was a pleasant day, and Gus is going for a hike with his family. And there's some rocks in a lake nearby. Then something unfortunate happens. You need to think of the unfortunate thing that happens is, you have to use your imagination. You need to fill in the blank. You don't need to write this whole sentence on your sticky note. You just have to write what would go in the blank. The unfortunate thing that happens is, and you need to write the words that would go in this blank. What unfortunate thing could have happened to Gus while he was on the hike? Pause the video until you have number 1 all filled out about the unfortunate thing that happened to Gus. Okay, now we're going to move on to story number 2 for the game Tell Me a Story. Ruby can't find her homework. She's looked everywhere and is bewildered. Then something fortunate happens. How might you finish the story? The fortunate thing that happens is... What fortunate thing might happen to Ruby, who is bewildered about where her homework is? The fortunate thing that happens is, use your imagination. You don't have to write all the words I wrote. You just have to write what would go in this blank. What would finish the story and make sense. Write it on your sticky note. Pause the video until you're done with number 2 and ready for story number 3. Okay, for story number 3, we're leaving Michigan. We're heading down to Florida, and we're going to hit the Gulf of Mexico, which is right here. This story happens down here in the Gulf of Mexico, which is ocean water. Lola, Ruby, and Gus are on a boat ride on the Gulf of Mexico, and they're looking over the edge of the boat, and suddenly they see something immense moving slowly toward the boat. The immense thing that they see is... How could you finish the story? What could go in this blank? The immense thing they see is blank. You don't need to write the whole sentence. Just write what goes in the blank. What would make sense? It has to be immense, whatever you write. Write that for number 3. Okay, you should now have 1, 2, and 3 all filled out on your sticky note, and of course your name is on it. That's all for now. Go put your sticky in your sticky spot. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.